What's going on, everybody? It's Tuesday night. Time to talk some football. It's your boy SAJ. It's become tradition here. I'm always going to sport this awesome replica helmet from the End Zone Helmet Painting and our boy Sol Rock Cardenas. Absolutely love that helmet. I will say, though, I think I need to get a little bit bigger size because my big fat head is getting big fat fatter. And so it's getting a little bit harder to fit in that stupid thing. But I love it nonetheless, dude. I absolutely love that helmet. So always tradition here. We come from someplace, and I think tonight I'm going to be coming from a personal favorite of mine, a little place we used to go and hide out at when we were at the mall, and that's the Aladdin's Castle.
Oh, yes. Oh, great memories of that place, man. What is up? I am BD. Today, I'm going to be coming at you from Radio Shack Studios. Man, I love Radio Shack. I miss them. I used to get all kinds of goods and gadgets and, resistors and stuff like that for whenever I wanted to kind of redo the wiring in my base and just, all around just random stuff that I needed. It was a great place.
Man, I don't know who you're telling because I used to go there for all different kinds of stuff, whether it be resistors, diodes, switches, relays, you name it. Anything that we needed for car audio, that was always our place. About the only thing we didn't get there was power wire and RCA cables because what they had was not good enough. But everything else, man, any kind of custom stuff we were building, that was the place, dude. That's where you went.
Oh, I loved it. I was sad when they closed up shop.
Yeah.
But you know what? I have good news for all the Cowboys fans. We did not lose to the bye week last week. So
that's good.
It was a little sketchy. I thought we might, but
I'm so excited for you. I'm also excited to be sporting this wonderful dry fit. You guys know how I love these dry fit shirts. Sleepy Brahma happened to get me this because she could. It's an awesome, starter dry fit. Same thing that the team wears, right? So I can keep my head nice and warm when it's on those cold, rainy days. I look like
you have to get out of San Antonio for those.
Yeah, this is more like a Seattle kind of thing or a Green Bay kind of thing. But yeah, super excited for having that. And so my Packers merchandise is just growing and growing and growing. But we've got a lot to talk about tonight, and I'm trying to share while we're talking. So I apologize for being distracted. We've got to figure out, there's got to be a one-touch way to share all this to Facebook or something, because
I know
we've got way too many people to share this to. Anyways, lots to talk about. First and foremost, though,
let's start with since this Cowboys in play, and y'all love starting with the Cowboys because we usually do something stupid and embarrassing. Your Packers played, so tell us about the game. Y'all didn't do something stupid and embarrassing, and as it turns out, y'all might actually have a kicker now.
We do, and we'll get to that towards the end. First, though, I want to give a big shout out to our brothers and sisters over at the Horns Forward podcast. We're finally back there. You guys know we're hosts on that show as well, but we had our first episode last night, and it was so good getting at least part of the family back together, and I can't wait until we have the full family back together. So shout out to those guys. Now let's talk some Packers. And Brian, you can share the video to some of those wonderful places.
I'll take over some of the sharing here.
Yeah. So this was a little bit of a surprising game. And you guys all know Rig Rocker is a huge Houston fan. We were kind of messaging back and forth a little bit during the game. There he is, in fact, right? What is up, my boy Rig? And Chris, they didn't get blown out 50-0, but it was close. They almost lost the bye. So this was a chippy game. It was fun to watch. In the first half, there were 4 lead changes. So just back and forth battling, man. I mean, it was definitely a nail biter. Packers did get down towards the third quarter. Towards the fourth quarter. But we started out with Houston getting 3 on the board, right? And then Green Bay coming back. We had Green Bay's first possession. Love threw a pick, right? Not so fun to start out, right? You're thinking, oh great, here we go, right? We held Texans to the field goal.
Was that like a Dak? Here we go, or what was that?
Well, so I know we've talked about it before.
Here we go, pick.
Yeah, I know we've talked about it before, and I'm still not 100% sold that Love is the guy, right? Love is showing flashes of greatness, but then he's showing flashes of gunslinger, Brett Favre type style of play, and that's not like this is not the league to be doing that kind of stuff anymore. And what is up, Robert? We're going to get to you in a little bit, right? And Rig is right. Here's the problem: poor play calling and time management killed him at the end. The Texans gave us the ball back with plenty of time on the board. I was a little worried because we were getting a lot of pressure up the middle, and they were really, flushing Love out of the pocket, out of his comfort zone. But he did manage to get a very nice pass downfield, and yeah, I got to put this up. Yeah, how about them Lions, baby? Woo! It was such an exciting game watching this game. I mean, the two of the best teams in the NFL battling back and forth. Obviously, Green Bay punted, then Texans punted. Second quarter, 14 plays, we get the touchdown. Then Texans punt, then Texans get a touchdown. And then Green Bay comes back and gets a touchdown. And then Texans get a field goal. And Love throws another interception. And, Texans score a touchdown off of that. And then we punt. And then that's the end of the half, right? Third quarter, Texans punt, Green Bay gets a touchdown. Texans punt, Green Bay punts. Texans punt, fourth quarter, Green Bay punts, right? Texans punt, Green Bay punts. Texans score a field goal. And then we managed to drive it 10 plays, minute 44, 39 yards. And our new kicker is so far 1 for 1. He's not going to die this week. And when it counted, he dropped it on the money. And it was phenomenal. And it did help out that the Texans kind of burnt all their timeouts before this, so they didn't really get a chance to ice the kicker. Would it have made a difference? I don't know. But, that's kind of the whole purpose of having those timeouts is to kind of, put that extra fear into them. But this guy walked out on the field. He was good to go. And Rig is right. The O-line is going to get CJ killed if they don't tighten that up a bit. However, I do think it's also worth mentioning that you're going up against Green Bay, who arguably has one of the better defenses in the league right now. And while we can't really do a whole bunch to stop the run, we can definitely blitz. We can definitely get some pressure on a quarterback. If we can just fix that stopping the run problem, they are going to be dangerous. So let's look at some stats because, we're a little bit stats guys here, right? Stroud went 10 to 21, 86 yards. Now, that's not because he can't throw. Well, that's because of a good defense, right? A lot of the routes were plastered by guys, including one, Jair Alexander. We're going to talk about him in just a bit, okay? Mixon went off, though. 25 rushes, 115 yards. Insane. CJ Stroud broke off 19 on 5 rushes. And there's a couple other guys that,
I'll say Mixon, he
fell forward.
All the rushes, all those yards, and one failed Lambeau leap.
Yes, one dejected Lambeau leap. Now, here, Rig, I'll get to that in just a little bit. Let's look at Green Bay's interceptions. No interceptions, which is surprising because we've had an interception every game this year, except for this one. This is our first game without an interception. But you're looking at the list of all the broken up pass plays and all the pressure and just a lot of stuff, man. We still don't have a return game. It's really kind of surprising me. But nobody really, there's only been very few returns, and I was really hoping that we'd see a lot more returns with this XFL style kickoff. But I
Didn't
think it's
we had
because,
another return touchdown this week. I think
but
we've
that's
had
like
4 or 5 this season already.
I don't. I'd have to go back and look, BD. Honestly, I think it's more like 3 or 4. But you're right. But regardless, I mean, there's 16 games being played or whatever.
Yeah, but I mean,
every single week.
you got to look at what was it before. I mean, kick return touchdowns are not not a common occurrence.
They're not, but I was hoping we'd see a little bit more than with the XFL style kickoff. But the problem is everybody's booting it into the end zone or past the end zone, and it's only getting taken out to the 30. So I'm really hoping that the NFL looks at that and says, "Hey, look, man, if this is what we implemented these rules for player safety and for players to get more returns. If you guys aren't going to start returning them, we're really going to start, penalizing you and putting it on like the 40 or something like that, right? Give them a lot of yardage so it forces them, the kicking team, to actually kick it and make the receiving team work for the yards that they get, right? But anyways, okay, now, Rick brought this up, and it's something that we talked about definitely after the game, and I had to do some research about it. There was a lot of chippiness between specifically Stephon Diggs and Jair Alexander before and during, and maybe even a little bit after the game. We just don't know because it just didn't show any of that. However, weren't exactly sure why and what was going on with that. So I had to do a little bit of research, and it turns out that, as you guys all know, Stephon Diggs started his career with the Vikings, right? So that's 2 times a year that you're playing a division rival. And if you have big attitudes like Diggs and a guy like Jair Alexander, oh my gosh, Robert's a bum. Please. I'm not even going to show that comment.
After you showed it.
Yeah, well, I only let it flash, and then I took it away. You've got guys that have
there you go, Rankin. I'll show it for you.
Big. Bye. I'm going to delete it. Show you. You've got guys that have humongous just egos, right? And they're super competitive and super hungry guys, and they're constantly going to be nipping at each other. I don't agree with that comment, Rig. I'm going to show it. I don't agree that he's a bum. I think what it is it's 2 guys, again, with big egos that well, okay, so we're going to get to that. It was the fighting between Diggs and Alexander when they, back to the Green Bay, Minnesota days. And so Diggs goes over to the Bills, but that rivalry, that hatred doesn't go away. You've got beef with a guy, especially a guy that you're going to see twice a year. You're going to remember him no matter where he goes. And when you face him again, you're going to start jaw-jacking. Either way, right? I don't know who started it, but somebody started it, and the other guy didn't let it go, and then it kind of escalated. And I think that's what led to a lot of the other players being kind of chippy and, taking shots at each other. And I even think that negative attitude is what led to the Packers fans in the stands pushing Mixon out of the stands when he tried to do the Lambeau leap. Now, let's talk about the Lambeau leap, okay? That is a tradition.
Well, real quick, while you're sorry about the scuffle, I just looked it up. Did you see Diggs' quote on the pregame scuffle about it? What he said?
I did, but
I'm never the bigger person.
Yeah. Yeah, he 100% said he was not going to walk away, no matter what. He's always going to.
I thought that was funny. So.
Yep. Yeah. So it's not like it was just Jair Alexander, right? You've got Stephon Diggs that he's going to walk out there with attitude, and if anybody starts barking, he's going to bark right back, right?
But I like that. I'm not going to call Alexander a bum or Diggs a bum for this stuff. Like that's part of football. That's part of these rivalries of the teams that they hate each other. That's part of the game that I love. And yeah, sometimes they go a little overboard and things get heated and they scuffle. But you know what? I don't care. I'm here for it. I love seeing it.
I mean, you're not wrong. I will say though, the Lambeau Leap, that is hallowed ground. That is a sacred tradition that we as Packers fans take very, very seriously. And visiting teams have to understand that the fans are not just going to embrace you and take you in, right? We defend our home territory very, very fiercely. And so if you're going to jump into the stands, you better make sure there's more than just one guy there, right? And so there was one Texans fan that was there. Nothing happened to him, from what I can tell. But Mixon definitely got pushed out of the even remote chance of getting into the stands. Can Aaron Jones still do the leap? Potentially. As a Viking, no. He comes back to Lambeau. No, he's the enemy. Will shake his hand and everything like that, but once that ball snaps for the and the clock starts, no, dude, he's the enemy. Plain and simple. And you saw that in that Green Bay Vikings game when Aaron Jones came back home, so to speak. He was shaking hands with everybody. I mean, he was shaking hands with staff members and game time attendants and just loving on everybody. When the game started, he sure didn't treat us like this was home, right? He treated us like we were the enemy, and we treated him like he was the enemy. And that's just the way it goes in football, So no, he would not be allowed to do the Lambeau Leap. Now, if he retired and then came back in, yeah, I would probably, But right now, no, absolutely not. This part right here, dumping beer on people, that's not cool.
Yeah, that's just a waste of beer,
Yeah. And the girl that dumped the full beer on St. Brown last year, why would you do that? Why would you spend $18 for a 16-ounce beer just to dump it on a player, dude? That's dumb, right? So those people are just special. We're just going to leave it at that. But again, right, it was a tough game. We knew it was going to be tough. I didn't think it was going to be as chippy as it was going to be, or as it turned out to be, rather. But we knew it was going to be a little bit chippy because you've got two teams that are fighting to stay relevant here. And now Green Bay sitting at 5-2, Texans are at 5-2. But it was a heck of a game to watch, man. It was.
I was kind of obviously.
How do we mute Vikings fans who are the ones that are pointing the fingers? Yet they're the absolute worst. Look at how you guys treat your kickers, man. Come on, answer to that. So moving on,
man. That was a good game. I was watching. I was just kind of skipping all around on Sunday, catching a bunch of the games. I mean, I watched a little bit of the Jaguars Pats game, the one in London, and man, that's the worst thing we've done to England since the American Revolution. That was just sad. There were a bunch of just kind of games that I was like, kind of boring to watch. A lot of the early games, obviously the Texans and Green Bay was a good one. The Lions and Vikings, that was a really good game. I can understand why Rankin's a little mad this today because kind of got whipped up on by those little Lions. So yeah, like it was, but there weren't that many close games, weren't that many good ones. It just, they were all blowouts. Even the Chiefs and 49ers, it ended up being a 10-point game, but I just never felt close. Jets Seahawks, I thought that game was going to be better for Sunday night, and that was I don't know where Jay went. He disappeared on me, but yeah, I don't know.
This is what happens when you upgrade Google Fiber. They get mad and they tell you no, thank you.
Yes.
So I don't know what that's all about, dude. I've never had problems like that before.
What the heck?
So not happy. Anyways, yeah, some good games this weekend. Heck, even that Cardinals Chargers game with little baby Kyler Murray, that turned out to be a surprising game.
You know what? I did not watch a single minute of it. I was watching, some of the Ravens Bucks game. Well, obviously we were doing the horns forward last night.
Mhm.
And I had the Ravens Bucks game up on my TV in here, but I didn't watch any bit of that Chargers Cardinals game.
Yeah. So surprisingly, you know, uh, Arizona held the Chargers to nothing but field goals. So yeah, on your fantasy team, if you had Dicker, man, you banked some points,
Dicker
right?
the kicker.
Yep. But it was nothing but field goals from Dicker. Um, on the other side, little baby Kyler Murray, managed to at last 2 minutes of the game. I think it was only like a minute and a half, something like that. Managed to sneak in enough plays to get the kicker in place, and again, no timeouts. What are they going to do? Cardinals had all three of their timeouts. Right, they just burnt up the clock. And it might have been a little bit more because I remember Murray burning up the clock till the last like 2 seconds, and then he took a knee, set it up for a field goal. Kicker came in and just struck it. I mean, it was like a 30-yarder or something like that. I mean, it was
Oh, okay.
simple. Not something that a former Green Bay kicker could make, but um, you know, Arizona's kicker, he did good.
Any
So
other kicker other than former Green Bay kickers can make that.
yeah. So what is funny to mention though, because you guys know just how much I love Aaron Rodgers, right? Goes through all that trouble, getting his head coach fired, gets his guy lined up, who then gets demoted. And they're like, it's okay, Aaron, we're going to take care of you. They bring in Devontae Adams, right? So you got Rodgers and Adams, right? The odd couple, they're back together. We know how good they did in Green Bay. And what happens? 9 targets, 3 catches, 5 yards, something like that. Absolutely ridiculous. And so Adams loses to Pittsburgh 2 weeks ago, comes in to the Jets organization and loses to Pittsburgh again. Like
He's gonna force a trade to the Giants just to hit the trifecta.
mhm. Yeah, and so that meme is floating around now too. Traded to the Giants just so he can lose to Pittsburgh one more time
Yeah,
this year.
that's what I saw. Devontae Adams last 7 days loses to the Steelers, gets traded to a new team, loses to the Steelers.
Yeah, so absolutely funny. Just loving the fact that Rodgers is on the backside of his career. I was afraid that he was gonna, do the Favre resurrection, like Favre did when he went to the Jets. He did okay, got traded the next year, went to Minnesota, had arguably one of the best years of his career in Minnesota. Almost took him to the Super Bowl until the whole Bounty Gate thing happened with New Orleans.
Yeah.
But that did not happen.
XFLYG, I don't want to talk about fantasy right now. All right, that's
We'll talk about that at the end of the show. I'm not real happy myself.
No.
So, what I'm also not happy about though is the amount of injuries that happened this last week.
This is crazy. Like my freaking, my fantasy team is nothing but Q's, O's, and IRs. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like you're playing Scrabble or something, and you've got nothing but vowels.
Yeah.
This week was really bad. Looking at not that this part necessarily matters, but Orlando Brown Jr. Had a left calf strain, and so he potentially may be out for a while. Maybe the rest of the career, we don't know, or the rest of the season, not the career. Deshaun Watson, Achilles, out for the rest of the year.
Yeah. And I mean, as much as stuff has been following him for the last, obviously, his trouble with the league and all that a couple of years ago, with new accusations that he just settled, a month ago with this. I don't know if we ever see Deshaun Watson again. It's crazy how good he was for Houston and just how far he fell.
Yep.
So that Achilles, that might have been the last time we see him out on the field.
Yep. For the Chiefs, you've got Juju Smith-Schuster, who injured his hamstring. Definitely not playing anytime soon. Hopefully
he's out for weekend. They had Watson who hurt himself. He's on IR.
Yep. For the Dolphins, you had Braxton Berrios, torn ACL. That's it. He's done for the season. You also have,
I'll say San Francisco. You have Brandon Ayuk who tore his ACL. He's done for the year. You had Deebo Samuel who went to the hospital with freaking pneumonia and fluid in his lung after the game. Who knows if he's going to have to sit out? DK Metcalf, he sprained his MCL, so he's week to week with that. You have Godwin who hurt his knee or dislocated his ankle. He's done for the season. Mike Evans came into the game with the sore hamstring, hurt it again. He's out. They said for 3 weeks until they come back from the bye week. I mean, those two players for Tampa is crazy. Like, that's a good chunk of their offense right there. I mean, Mike Evans is one of the best receivers in the league.
Yep. It doesn't stop there either, right?
Yeah.
We've got Jaden Daniels getting his ribs checked on the sidelines, so that may be something there. Just a lot of injuries this year.
Yeah. This week and even this year, man. I mean, I feel like we talked about it last year too. Just how many big name injuries there have been in the recent, the last couple of years of NFL, and it's amazing how many, just how many big name players are going down for extended periods of time.
Yeah, it's insane. Sorry, I'm still sharing stuff on the Facebook. This is where I think the UFL is going to have possibly the greatest opportunity. With a lot of these guys that are going down, that are going to be going on injury reserve, somebody's going to have to replace them. People are going to be getting activated from practice squads to fill some holes, and that means there's going to be holes on practice squads. So that's potential opportunity for some of our UFL players to plug in with a practice squad and start getting some actual NFL reps, maybe even get on like a third string, right? Mike, you're right. Yeah, we just talked about Ayuk.
Yeah. He's not just hurt. He's done for the season.
Yeah.
So
it's just crazy, man. I just can't believe how bad this week was as far as injuries and the severity of the injuries. It wasn't like it's just, a couple of guys getting banged up or, potential stingers and stuff like that going to the sidelines. Like, these are guys that had, season-ending injuries.
Yeah, like we just read through 5-6 guys that done for the season, and that's crazy.
Yeah. So, just absolute wild stuff. But anyway, so yeah, lots of injuries. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens, how things kind of turn out, for our UFL players, and if, some guys get opportunities, things like that. It is our sister. What is up, nerd? Good to see you again.
Nerd.
It's not like we just saw you 24 hours ago, but whatever.
Right.
So we've already made fun of, Rogers to Adams, right? I absolutely love that. What
do we got for coming up this week for the NFL? Who are y'all playing?
NFL Week 8.
Playing.
Hey, first of all, we're playing the Jags.
So you have to win.
But it's Week 8, Brian. Can you believe it's already Week 8 of the NFL season?
So funny. So I looked up. We're just talking about it. Kick return touchdown stats. So there's been 3 kick return touchdowns this season already. We're going into Week 8. Last season there were 4 the entire season. So we're already outpacing kickoff touchdown returns for last year.
Yeah, that's good. There are going to be some very lopsided games this next week. And it's not even going to be pretty. So the Vikings are taking on the Rams, right? That's not going to be good for the Rams at all. Morale's going to drop 50 points right there. The
Well, and
Ravens
you
are
saw,
taking
I
on.
mean, I don't know if you saw they've kind of started making calls that they're willing to move to trade Cooper Cup. So they're putting him on the trade block.
I sure would love to see him in green and gold. That's for dang sure.
I
I
wouldn't
don't.
mind seeing him over in Dallas.
Yeah, you would, because who's going to throw to him?
I mean, somebody might be able to, or at least throw
Are,
it near him.
are you guys signing Uncle Rico again? I mean,
We
come
already
on.
have Uncle Rico. He's our starting running back. Come on now.
No, but you need Uncle Rico throwing the ball too, because he can throw it over the mountains there. Remember?
That's right. Yeah.
5-2 Ravens are taking on the 1-6 Browns. That's going to be
Ooh,
horrible. The
that's a
Lions are
bloodbath.
taking on the 1-5 Titans. Right.
That's gonna be bad.
5-2 Packers taking on the 2-5 Jags. Not so much. The 2-5 Jets are taking on the 1-6 Patriots. Whoa. Talking about a snooze fest. But at
Tampa
least,
Bay Atlanta might be a good game.
yeah. Well, and Cowboys
Division
are taking
opponent.
the Cowboys are taking on the 49ers.
That's always a big game, but
Right.
I mean,
And
we'll see.
I was just going to say it's a busted up 49ers, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to show up, right?
Yeah.
They're going to show up with everything that they got just because of the rivalry that's there. And then, of course, the 4-2 Bears are taking on the 5-2 Commanders. So we'll see what happens there. I'm kind of
5-2 Commanders is the weirdest thing I've ever heard anybody say.
Yeah, it's been a minute. But I'm expecting that to be the 4-3 Bears after this next week, right?
Yeah.
Kind of get some separation. And I know we've joked about it, but it's insane that the NFC North is essentially dominating again. Right? That has not happened since like the 1990s.
I saw like the playoffs start this week. All 4 teams from the NFC North would be in the playoffs.
Yep.
Which is ridiculous.
It's absolutely insane.
And he leaves again. What the heck?
That is getting annoying. I'm not saying that the NFC North is the powerhouse that it used to be from back in the 90s.
Oh, no. It's not because all the NFC North teams are up here. It's because the rest of the NFC is like down here.
Yeah.
So.
And again, I don't think, we can get to that point yet to say that the NFC North has the greatest teams in the NFL, just like you said. However, I think as the season drags on a little bit, we are going to see a little bit more strength coming out of the NFC North. We're going to start seeing some separation, right? And I think what's going to happen is the Bears are finally going to be the Bears that we know, and some of the tough teams are going to actually show up and play them and beat them. And so that record's going to go down. Minnesota and Detroit, unfortunately, are probably going to run away with the league, and Green Bay is going to be struggling to try and catch up. Even with the great record that they have right now, chances are we're probably going to miss the playoffs by like a game. I mean, unless we can gain ground on some wins against Minnesota and Detroit, but I don't really see that happening right now. But yeah, some spooky.
It's going to be really interesting if 3 NFC North teams actually make the playoffs, because right now, I mean, Minnesota is the best team in the NFC right now. Lions are a damn good team, and Packers have been real good too. So like all 3 real solid teams, and yeah, they may continue that. All 3 may make the playoffs.
Yeah, it very much is a possibility. It could happen. I think the division rivalries are going to mix that up a little bit, though, once we get into the division games again.
Have y'all played a whole lot of division games yet?
We've only played Minnesota that I know of.
Okay.
So.
And yeah, that'll kind of even up as they start playing. But
yeah, in fact, let me pull it up, and I'll confirm that. But I'm pretty sure we only played Minnesota. And we got trounced. Like it wasn't even close. But that was also with a little bit different Green Bay team, right? They've gotten a little bit stronger, looked a little bit better. So we'll see how it goes. So Minnesota, yeah. So we won't play another division rivalry until November 3rd. And then we've got the bye week and then another division rivalry game at Chicago.
So y'all got 2 weeks. So next week I'll play a division opponent, and then
and then we'll have like a 2 week gap, and then we play back-to-back division rivalry games. Right, we're playing at Minnesota and then Chicago. I don't see. Well, there's Detroit. So that's our 2 for the year. So yeah, those division rivalry games are coming, and Green Bay better be ready. That's all I can say. I mean, you guys know me. I'm a hometown homer. I love my Packers, but I'm also a little bit of a realist. And if we don't see some improvement in that run defense, it's going to be nasty, right? Because teams are already going to know how to eat us up. So not going to be good. Anyways, so yeah, some as I was saying before, some spooky dooky games this week. There's going to be some really lopsided wins, and there's going to be some really boring games that are going to be happening. Let's talk about some boring college football games.
This is a great weekend for college football, man. Anytime the Aggies win, the Longhorns lose, OU loses, and Bama loses, it's a great weekend for college football.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. And let's talk about fans, right? What happened in Austin?
UT fans showed why they are one of the worst fan bases in college football. They got all butthurt because the call didn't go their way and started throwing crap onto the field. And they ended up overruling the call. But I know a lot of people were unhappy with the call, but I can see why it was called. The defender made contact with the wide receiver first. Wide receiver was coming to the top of his route. Defender stuck his arms out and hit the receiver. Was it something that should have been called? Probably not, but I can understand why they did. And I sure as hell don't think they should have picked up the flag after already calling it. It was one of those plays. Yeah, there was some contact. It was early. It affected the catch probably, but they were two guys going at it. Just let it go. But once that's called, like you can't overturn a call like that. Especially after the fans throw a hissy fit and start throwing crap onto the field, because now you're just setting a bad precedent.
Yeah. Speaking of setting bad precedences, Oklahoma apparently set another bad precedent in their, introduction to the SEC by dropping a game to South Carolina, 35-9. Right, and
that's 9 points against South Carolina, 3 points last week against UT. I mean, 12 points in 2 weeks Oklahoma scored. I love seeing it, but wow.
Yep. Is that a do better moment?
Do better, Oklahoma offense. Do better.
Nah, we're gonna let them ride. They're doing exactly what we need them to do, which is be Oklahoma.
Obviously my Texas A&M Aggies beat Mississippi State 34-24. Good solid game. Mississippi State, gave A&M a hard time, but I think we talked about it last week. They're a tough team. They're 1-6, but they're one of the best 1-6 teams you can face. They gave Georgia a hard time. They've given most of their opponents just tough games, and I don't know what it is that they're not able to kind of pull these wins off at the end, but it's just they're fighting, which is it's great for them, but it's glad we got the win out of that. And it's coming week, we're playing LSU, so that's going to be I think LSU is ranked 8th, and A&M's ranked 14th. So it's going to be an interesting game.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game. Provided A&M shows up, it should be a dogfight. Meanwhile, Texas State lost to Old Dominion 24-14, and my precious UTSA Roadrunners, they beat Florida Atlantic 38-24. I know the Texas State score a little bit lopsided, but I know Texas State was in that game for the most part. They, definitely fought, gave it the best they could, came up a little bit short. But I mean, it's going to happen. They can't win every single game, and they, have been on a pretty decent tear overall. It seems like they'll win two, drop one, win two, drop one. So they're going to be playing Louisiana and then Louisiana Monroe the next 2 weeks. And so those will probably be 2 wins right there. I'm sure they'll finish out strong. For UTSA, this was a good morale booster, especially dropping such a close one to Rice the previous week. And then they're going to be playing the Big Green Machine the following week. No, I'm sorry, in a couple of weeks. So maybe they'll get some steam going and do something. However, I will say, the final game of the season, they're playing Army, and that's not going to be pretty. The last time they played Army, it was, I hate to say that, to use this pun, but it was a bloodbath, right? It was not pretty for UTSA. So we'll see how they're doing, right? In the meantime, we also have UIW. They played McNeese State this last weekend, won 30-17. And I think I'm losing an ear here. Sorry. So that happens when you use headphones, right? In the meantime, that pretty much covers. We've got a couple of great games coming up this weekend for college. UTSA hopefully will actually show up and play. We also have some updates as far as our wonderful San Antonio Brahmas. We talked about some on Horns Forward podcast last night, but I know BD's absolutely excited for this new quarterback that we signed because he is an A&M guy. And I had heard rumor that there was a little bit of doubt being cast about this quarterback by one of our counterparts from another show. Would you like to elaborate a little bit on that, or should we leave it nameless?
I mean, whatever. No, our friend old Big Daddy Ed from what is it, The Bottom Line, and a few of his shows over there. We posted on our the Texas Talking Football page about it, and he came in. Oh, well, he was a bust in Minnesota. Good luck with them or whatever. And so, I got to support my Aggies here. So,
Yep.
I mean, the man had five pass attempts with Minnesota. He was a third string quarterback. He's not really a bust. He just didn't get a chance to prove himself or even be a bust or not. So, we're just kind of going back and forth. But I'm excited about this pickup. I kind of ran through some of his career stats with A&M. He was undefeated in bowl games, played 3-0. He's got the all-time A&M records for passing touchdowns, passing yards, completions, attempts, total offensive yards. He tied Money Manziel's record for all-time touchdowns for 93 with 93 touchdowns. So he's got I think 1,600 rushing yards in his college career, 22 touchdowns. He's able to run the ball when the pass or the pocket breaks down. He's not a run first quarterback, which is great. I like a quarterback who can run but doesn't choose that after his first option isn't there. He's able to go through the progressions, and if something breaks down, then he can kind of run and take off. And he showed that when he played for A&M. All good, Ed. All good. It was fun. But and he was a part of that. The classic LSU A&M game that was 7 overtimes. What was 74-72? Oh, that was a fun game to watch, but that was exhausting. I was actually in Nashville when that game was being played. Um, Went up there for just a little trip for my wife's birthday, and we were going to fly back home the next day. And had to get to the airport at like 5 in the morning or something, and it's like midnight, and I'm just sitting there watching this freaking game, and I'm like, at this point, I just want somebody to win because I need to go to bed. But that was a hell of a game, all time classic. But yeah, if you can't tell, I'm real excited.
Yeah, I'm super excited about the moves that the Brahmas have made in the last week or two. The players that they've been signing. If you go to the Horns Forward podcast page, I believe it was Jackie or DJ that made the post, but just a list of some of the players that have been signed. I'm going to bring it up right now. Kellen Mond, Vikings third round draft pick. Ty Fergagel, who's an undrafted free agent, Cowboys and Chiefs. Wide receiver Rashawn Henry, 4 NFL stints. Offensive lineman Justin Schaefer, Falcons 6th round pick. And the list goes on and on. Tariq Carpenter, who I actually remember, is Packers 7th round pick. And I know he played some preseason games. He did not make the squad. But they're making some very, very strong, aggressive moves here. And they're picking up. Yeah. So if and this is coming from James Larson, but General Manager Mark Lillibridge was asked, kind of what is going on, and he said that they're focusing on the team, and it's shaping up to. This unit is shaping up to be even better than the championship squad that we saw this past season. Strong words, but that means that we're taking this seriously.
Yeah,
that coach.
Yeah, there's not going to be any kind of championship loss hangover. They are actually going all in. Jerry Jones, did you hear that? They're going all in, and they actually mean it. So
no, Jerry doesn't know what that means. So it's just a catchphrase that he uses. But so we love the UFL, and we love the rivalries and all the fun that we have with that and everything like that. But I think it's worth mentioning here that the rest of the UFL take note that Phillips was not happy with the way this turned out. We're not going to make the same mistake again this next year, and we're coming back and we're hungry. So be ready. That's all I can say is just be ready. Now, speaking of being ready, it looks like the IFL is apparently ready to start making some waves and things happening. If you go to the IFL webpage, and again, thanks to our friends over at Pro Arena Talk, and specifically Bobby Otten, that's been helping us find news stories and just things that are going on in the arena football world, because that's his thing. There's a bunch of teams that are announcing coaching moves, open tryouts in San Antonio. We signed the Defensive Player of the Year to the squad. Our open tryouts are going on now, and the season is set to the season schedule rather is set to release on October 31st. So you get a little bit of spooky, a little bit of nice. It's going to be really good. I know that the IFL is poised to make just big, incredible waves this year. So super excited about that. I'm sorry, I'm also talking to the boatman from Memphis right now, who's messaging me, and he was asking if Ed was being a good boy today or not, and so I had to be honest and tell him no.
Oh, geez.
But you know how it goes. Anyways, IFL, it's going to be another jam-packed, exciting year. A lot of good movement going on, a lot of new faces that are going to be coming in on coaching staff and everything. and we should see some really good stuff. Now, keep in mind, we did lose the Frisco Fighters and
Duke City.
yeah, Duke City.
Yeah.
Well, they've already replaced uh, those teams. I'm trying to see who this new team is that they added, because it's a new Fisher Freight or Fishers, um, and it looks like they're in Indiana. So that'll be nice. Another kind of centrally located team. Um, you've got a pretty decent representation in kind of like the Midwest, and then a clustering in the on the East Coast and the clustering towards the West Coast. So it looks like they're being very strategic with how they're placing the teams and everything like that. There is one team that's missing. So of the two that dropped out, only one's been replaced so far. So we'll have to see what happens. But that could also be an opening for Corpus Christi. And
Could be.
so we'll have to see what happens. Right?
That'd be interesting. They went from obviously the NAL. What happened with them? What I forget what league were they in before the AF
They were in the AIF.
AIF. That's what it was.
Yes.
Which is it's a tier below the NAL, which is a tier below the IFL. It'd be interesting if they actually made that jump, straight to the IFL.
Yep.
And that'd be a nice little Gunslingers Corpus rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if they'd put two teams that close to each other, but
you never know.
It'd be interesting. It'd be, like I said, it'd be a fun rivalry with them.
Yep. Now I will say though that if you go to the NAL's website, they do have Corpus Christi listed as one of the teams that is going to be playing in the 2025 season. They don't really have a whole bunch of information outside of that though. But if you also look at the NAL, you've got Amarillo and Beaumont both representing Texas in that league. And so now you've got a third team, right? So it's almost like the Texas division. And then, you've got our neighbors to the east, Shreveport. They've got a team in there, and I couldn't even tell you how to pronounce their team name. It's one of them Cajun French names. I'm not.
I don't have it pulled up in front of it. I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like some kind of weird werewolf, and it's Rougarou. I don't even
Rougarou.
Make some.
I think it's the Rougarou. I think.
Yeah, ask Paul Prudhomme. He can pronounce it for you, and then make you a nice jambalaya or something. Anyways, so yeah, there's definitely some movement going on now. Arena football is starting to get starting to pick up some steam. So is the UFL. We should be hearing a little bit more about AF1 and the IFA, right, as we start getting closer and closer to the season there. Whether it's actually going to happen, we still don't know. But it sure looks like they're trying to make it happen. That's for sure. Now, talking about making things happen, let's talk about how we can't seem to make fantasy football happen for us, Brian.
Dude, this week was rough. I went into probably about halfway through the afternoon games, looking really good in my leagues. Figured I was going to go 3-1, and then just went off a cliff. Ended up going 0-4. Mike Evans getting hurt screwed me in 2 leagues. Ayuk going down. Godwin going out. I had probably the 5 receivers or whatever they got hurt. I probably had all of them on my team this week, and it sucked.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Mine turned out to be a little bit better. I wound up going 2-1. The problem is the one that I wanted to win, that I needed to win, which is against last year's winner in this one league. I wound up coming up a little bit short. I had Evans. Nice. There's our guy. There's the boatman right there, and he's right. Texas is the only state that's big enough to be able to hold multiple teams. Um, and yeah, that's good stuff right there. But so I lost. I had Mike Evans got pulled out. I had one receiver that put up a big old goose egg. 0 targets, 0 catches, 0 yards, 0 points. Did absolutely nothing for him. And it wasn't like the guy wasn't active. He just wasn't active on the field, you know? So that one hurt because I lost that game by about 15 points. And it's one of those, high scoring leagues where, you get points just for tying your shoes.
Yeah.
And so it just did not work out well. However, in my other 2 leagues, the ones that I've been struggling with, I seem to be on a 2-win streak here, and things are just looking really good for me. I know this week, Mike G said right here, you're going to be going up against him, and so hopefully you can get the win against him. We'll see what happens there. I need to look at that league and see who I'm playing this next week.
Here, I can tell you here in just a second. If it wants to act right.
I'm playing the Ultimate Warriors.
Who that?
That is maybe one of our Canadian friends. Mike G would have to tell you. Unfortunately, we don't even know like 3/4 of the guys that we're playing against. We just haven't had a chance to cross paths with them. But for Canadians, they definitely know their football. They've been kind of stomping on me pretty good. So not going to say much about there. No, that's not going to happen, Mike. You're going down this week, and then when we do actually have a rematch, I'm sure we've got a rematch. Let me look at the schedule. Yeah, in week 11 when I play you, I'll be getting some revenge. Okay, so that's Rick 8-Bit. So great guy, incredible content that he produces. But he's the enemy this week, so he's going down too. It doesn't matter. A lot of these games are a lot of fun. I will say I do take a little bit of joy, and I hate to say it this way, but in one of my leagues, there is somebody that is my counterpart, just as diehard of a Bears fan as I am a Packers fan, and they're at 1-6, and I'm enjoying that. It hurts, but that's how deep this rivalry goes with Chicago, man. We can't let them have anything nice.
Nope.
Whether it be fantasy football or even toilet paper. We make them use the cheap stuff. So, anyways, so I think that's pretty much it for this week. We've got a couple of great, potentially great NFL games coming up. We're going to have a bunch of snooze fest games. I think we're going to see a lot more fun and action out of the college games this weekend.
I think so.
There should be some really great matchups there. And then, of course, we'll have our updates about how poorly we did in fantasy football again next week.
Going 4-0 this week, all right? You're going down, XFL Mike G.
You heard it here, Mike. It's happening. But so I think that's pretty much it. Before we go, though, I think it's important that we plug the trunk or treat event over at Joe Sabi's this weekend. If you go
on Thursday.
In fact, let me because I've already got their thing up. Let me go ahead and share the screen, and Jackie can yell at me later. It's fine. I don't care. This again is from Jasabi's and Kinetic Kids. We have our annual trunk or treat where the Horns Forward podcast will be on site. I don't know if all of us will be there, but most of us should be there for sure. And BD, don't forget the candy. Okay.
Nope, I'm bringing it this time
because you forgot candy last year and all the kids went home crying because you were such a mean guy. But this is a wonderful little event, right? It's going on from 6 to 9 p.m. It's basically just a bunch of different booths set up, and the kids just walk around and show off their costumes and grab free candy. There's a bunch of free stuff that's going to be going on there. There'll be a DJ and some music and stuff, lots of games, a photo booth. There will be food trucks there. The food trucks you will have to buy food from. That they're not giving food away for free. So I'm a little sad about that. I was hoping for maybe some saltgrass samples and then just go through in like 16 different costumes so I could get the actual steak. But
There you go.
we'll figure something out. But in the meantime, again, there's just a lot of great companies and booths and stuff that are going to be there. And of course, Horns Forward Podcast will be there as well. And BD, are we showing up in costume this year? Or are we just gonna be us?
I'm just gonna be me. I'm not wearing the freaking Mando helmet again. That was too damn hot. So
Okay, I think I
it's
may.
It's hard to drink a beer with it. So
Yeah, I think I may bring the Brahmas helmet, right? Just because it's going to be getting. Uh-oh. We're being told by the boss that we better show up in costume. So I'm definitely showing up in my jersey and gloves and my helmet.
And real quick to answer XFLMIG's question, you'll find out on Sunday. All right. Suck it.
Look at him trying to get inside information. As the French would say, what a douche.
Yep.
And yes, Jeremy, you're right. Darth Brahma. It's coming with, baby. We are gonna make sure that we're wearing it. Not the entire time, unless I have a beer with a straw. But I'll be wearing it.
You can drink a beer with the football helmet.
The face mask gets in the way a little bit. I've already tried. Anyways, so make sure that you guys come out, and Brian, candy better be.
Candy will be in hand.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and start shutting it down. First and foremost, shout out to our sponsor, W Energy Drink. You guys hear me talk about it all the time. I've tried a couple of them. They're actually really good. I know we're starting to get into the holiday season with Halloween right around the corner, Thanksgiving next month, Christmas the month after. We're going to be busy as can be, right? It's the joys of adulting. So if you guys need something to give you a little pick me up and keep you going so you've got energy throughout the day so you can complete the 18 million tasks that you can't get done in a single day, try W Energy Drink. It's really good stuff. It doesn't give you the caffeine jitters like we've talked about. It's pretty solid product. Go to our Facebook page. There's a discount link there, and you can get yourself a little bit of a discount. I think it's like 10%, but it's worth it, right? Energy drinks are so expensive nowadays. I just saw some at the gas station that are like $4.29 now. And so a little bit helps, man. 10% is 10%. It makes a difference. But we also want to give a shout out to XFL Mike G and our friends over at the Alternative Football Network. Thank you guys for everything that you do, all the content that you share. It definitely helps us out. Thank you to all of our friends around the league, whether it be Rig Rocker, Predator Couple, Boatman. Looks like I just lost my headset, so I'll go to my headphones real quick and it'll be fine. But thank you to Jackie and everybody for showing up. Thank you to Pro Arena Talk and Bobby Otten and everything that they do for us. Thank you to you guys, right? Thank you to the Fuel Network, but thank you to everybody that tunes in every week and watches us, fumble our way through technical difficulties and still produce
just general stupidity that we have, So
yeah, and somehow we make it work, and I'm 100% convinced it's because of you fans. So
absolutely.
Episode 84 is now officially in the books, and looking forward, we're getting one step closer to getting to that magic episode 100. And we couldn't do it without you guys. BD, you got anything else you want to throw in before we close this down?
I do. One thing, it's not football related, but it is important. Election's 2 weeks away from tonight. Texas early voting started yesterday. Go out and vote. Whoever you're going to vote for, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. Vote your conscience. Get out there and just go vote. Make a difference in our community, in our country. So,
yep. And I mean, what can you say to follow that up? I 100% agree with you. Also, like Jackie said, spay and neuter your pets. Yeah. And then vote also.
Yeah.
And make sure if you haven't gone out and gotten your season tickets, make sure you contact your season ticket rep. If you don't have a season ticket rep, reach out to us. We'll get you connected with somebody because we happen to know one of the best in the business, and he happens to know everybody in the business. So if you don't have a guy, call us. We got a guy that can get you a guy. So because it's always good to have a guy, right? So with that being said, episode 84 is now officially in the books. Thank you guys again for watching. Horns forward, go Pack, go, and we'll see you guys next week.
Go
Take care.
Cowboys, Giga Maggies. Suck at 49ers.